Hold on, let me get my hair right. This is my first time sitting down to do this thing. And then I know y'all like, well, what is this thing? I don't even know what the thing is, so we're gonna see. But my name is Jasmine C. Perry. I've worked in the film and TV industry for almost 20 years now. So I have decided to create a talk series called Dreams Only, No NDA, because we're talking about real stuff. Now, the reason why I picked Dreams Only, because I live by two phrases. Dreams only, and the second one, just do it for the plot. Now that could be its own separate talk, but for now we're gonna focus on dreams only as it pertains to TV and film. Doesn't matter if you're an actress, director, editor, this all pertains to you. Or there'll be something in it that will pertain to you. So the first thing we're gonna talk about, this is dear to my heart. This is something that I think everyone going into the TV and film industry should really sit down and think about: your finances. So when you are working in an industry where you do not have a guaranteed paycheck, where you can go from making a lot of money to no money, when you do not have any guarantees for your next job, there's a certain way that you have to make sure you prepare for something like that. So first, never get so caught up in the glitz and glamour and even artistry of the TV and film industry that you forget to take care of yourself financially, because that's how you eat. What I've seen a lot of people do is they'll get so enamored with the idea of entertainment, they're ready to risk it all, leave the job, leave the money, just so they'll have more time to audition. But the only thing is, sometimes those auditions aren't even there yet. So what I am saying is, don't be the person that quits making money just so you can sit somewhere and not make money. Now, if you're not at a place where your auditions are rolling in, keeping you financially stable, do your due diligence and kind of put in the hard work. Keep that job, keep that money, keep feeding it into your retirement until you get to a place where you comfortably no longer need the job. Think of it like this: the industry does not care about you. The industry does not care if you have comfortable retirement. The industry does not care if you can pay your bills. The industry does not care if you have health care. So if you get in a car accident and you don't have that extra $30,000, it doesn't care if you go bankrupt behind that. So when you are going into an industry like that, I'm not saying don't go. What I'm saying is the industry doesn't care about you, but you have to care about you. And that means financially. If you decide to become an actor or go into these production gigs, just remember at that point, you're an independent contractor. And what really doesn't sink into people, if you're an independent contractor, that means you are a business. It's a different energy when you think of yourself like you're a business versus, oh, I just want to be an actress, or I just want to be. No, you have to be just as strong at both. When you look at all these famous people, singers and film people, you know why a lot of them are going bankrupt? Because they never learned financial literacy at day one. Don't be that person. You have all the resources. One of the things to avoid when you get in the industry, avoid lifestyle inflation. So basically what that is in LA, it is a very flashy place. But don't be fooled, because a lot of the people driving around in Mercedes, they are paycheck to paycheck. You know, they might, oh yeah, they got the $4,000 apartment downtown with a beautiful balcony, but should anything rock their world, they would tank in 3 or 4 months because they spent all that money on that apartment or on that car instead of putting it where it needs to go. Now, if you want to be smart, when you start getting more and more money in the industry, don't start getting those high ticket items until you can truly afford it. So what I mean by that, live low. If you're going to Los Angeles, do you need a luxury vehicle? Do you need designer clothes? Do you need the big fancy apartment? No. Play the long game. Take your money, get the cheapest apartment you can find, in a decent, safe neighborhood, and you can fix it up, make it into an oasis once you get inside. But then you can take the rest of that money, start saving up so you can buy property, so you can have assets. But what you don't want to do is spend all of that money on fancy accommodations and clothes at the expense of your retirement and at the expense of an emergency fund. The next thing I want you to think about, an emergency fund. So when we're talking about where to put your money, that's where you put your money. You work in an industry where you might get 50 grand off a commercial. You might be making 4 grand a week being a producer, and that is all great money. That doesn't mean you're going to be making the same money next year. That doesn't mean you're going to be making the same money for the next few years. So once you're in that place, make sure you're saving for your retirement. Like you have some kind of IRA. You have something set up where you're putting money towards you. If you don't get that next role, if you can't find another gig, if there's another writer's strike, you don't want to be in a place where you have all of these expensive things to maintain, the luxury car, the high rent, and then you can't find another job. Just always keep in mind, gig to gig, have your emergency fund set up. So if anything happens, you don't even have to stress. You're like, oh, well, I made so much money this first year, and because I live low, even if something happens where I don't work all next year, I'm in a great place. The next thing I want to cover, expense your life. Remember, you're an independent contractor. You're a business. So everything you do is a tax write-off. So for me, I have, for example, an app that I use called Expensify. Expensify, all of my credit cards are set up in it. So every expense, everything that I pay for, it automatically goes into this app. And then I can go on the app and I can put it in an expense report when it's tax time. So basically what that does is I don't have to pay taxes like that because everything I do offsets my taxes. So when I get my hair done, guess what? If you're an actor, that's a tax write-off. You're going to the movies, guess what? You're doing research. It's a tax write-off. You're buying some books, guess what? That's a tax write-off. Your desk. Oh, I'm a desk that I need, that I use when I'm doing some of my entertainment work. That's a tax write-off. My MacBook, you guys get the point. Even when you go out to eat. So every time, if you're in the entertainment industry, most of the time, guess who you going out with? Other people in the entertainment industry. And guess what that is? A tax write-off. See, I'm not going to eat with my friend. My friend's a producer. So I'm going to eat with my friend, the producer, for a business lunch. You can write all of that off. So when it's tax time, instead of having to pay the government, it's like, no, run that back. Because I've written off my entire life. So write off your life. So just putting this out there for anyone who does not know it. Retirement is not just for 9-to-5 people. So if you are an artist of any kind, I'm guessing at some point you're going to want to stop having to work to survive. Some of you might not even be able to work to survive once you hit a certain point. So you have to think about when that point is. Maybe by the time I'm 70, I don't want to work anymore. Say you live to 110. You have to figure out, how am I going to finance 40 years of life without working? The way a lot of people do that is through retirement plans and having assets that they can use for income, like houses that they can rent out as rental properties. So retirement plans, just because you're not at a company that gives you a pension or you don't have a 401k, these are things that you have access to even outside of having a 9-to-5. So instead of having a 401k, you can go to your bank and you can open either a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. So IRAs are one thing that you can do to help with retirement. But I would suggest really doing a deep dive and planning out your retirement. And that's not something that you want to start when you're 40. Like, looking back, honestly, I was just like, I wish that I could have been up on this stuff at like age 14 when I first started working. Because I was like, Yo, if someone had put me on game about finances when I was young, things could have looked a lot different now. So don't look at, oh, retirement, I'll think about that tomorrow. No, look at it like, bitch, you should have been thinking about that yesterday. That's what that is. Retirement. Whether you're working in front of the camera or behind the camera, you're going to get a contract. So it's very important that you learn how to read your contract, because if you don't know how to read your contract, that's how you get cheated out of money. So I'll give you an example. I worked on a show where I got a weekly rate, because I read my contract. I read my money and how they gonna give me my money and how my money works. I get it. So I had a weekly contract. And so basically a weekly contract is that bullshit, but it means they can work you however many days that week and you get paid one rate. So let's say, for the sake of conversation, my weekly contract was $1,500. So whether I work 5 days or they want to work me the weekend, they're only going to give me $1,500. I agreed to the weekly contract. So everything's going good. You know, some weeks come up where I have to work weekends. So I'm doing 7 days instead of 5. Okay, I agreed to the weekly contract. I got paid my $1,500. But then they tried to get funny, and when I needed to take 1 day off to go to the doctor, that's when they tried to dock my pay. And they're like, oh, well, we're gonna dock you for the day that you missed. Guess what I did? Like, actually, no, you're not. I signed a weekly contract deal with you all. So what we can do is either we can keep the weekly contract where no matter what, I get paid my rate, or we can switch to a daily contract where I get paid for every single day that I actually work and I get no payments for the days that I don't. But what we're not going to do is have a weekly contract where you flip between weekly and daily dependent upon how it meets your advantage. So that's what we're not going to do. And so I think because there was the respect, it was just like, okay, we'll honor the weekly rate. And I got paid what I was supposed to get paid. And there wasn't a thing, you know, I did it in a very like kind way. So it wasn't a thing where, you know, feathers were ruffled. It was just like, oh, she know her shit. We can't pull a fast one on her. That's why you have to know what's in your contract. If you're an actor, words to look out for: perpetuity. So I personally, whenever I see the word perpetuity in a contract, I kind of just avoid it like the plague, because I don't want to give anyone a lifetime of access to my likeness where they could use my picture or use videos of me every day forever, get billions of dollars, and I never get a dime. I always make sure there's a cap of how much time my likeness is used and how much money I will get for its usage. And if someone wants to use me in perpetuity, because they will put the lowest price tags on it, like, we want to be able to use you forever and pay you $2,000. And it's like, no. If you want to use my likeness and have access to it forever, guess how long you're going to have to make sure I'm good? Forever. So unless we're talking millions, you ain't getting my likeness forever. That's just not what we're doing. So know your contracts. All right, so we did it. That's the end of my first Dreams Only. I hope you like it. If there's anything that you want me to talk about, I got you. Just drop it in the chat. Until next time.